What's up, TikTok? Hey, good evening, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Ricardo Arce. This is Monday night, and tonight we're diving into LOVEWORKS. We just finished a 21-day fast. If you know anything about fast, they take a lot out of you. Thank God they were able to get through it. And I'm excited to be on with you tonight on all the channels. TikTok, good evening. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to LOVEWORKS. My name is Ricardo Arce. Good evening. What's up? Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Let's go. I'm excited that you're here tonight because I want to dive into this particular topic that really says a lot about how you choose relationships. Choosing relationships can be one of the most difficult, one of the most challenging, I'll say, because you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's like rolling the dice if you do it wrong. So tonight, I hope to give you some understanding, some things to understand on how not to be in a trauma relationship. Trauma relationships, trauma bonding, we'll call it, comes from different facets in your life. As you were young, you dove into some stuff that could be or has been detrimental, meaning it was to your demise. You didn't think that it can go left, and it did. So you see this in our pretty much within our, I'll say within our society amongst celebrities. I know you'd be shocked, probably I know these names, but you look at Quavo in his relationship. That's trauma bonding. Yeah. You look at really Will Smith and Jada. That's trauma bonding. So hopefully tonight I'm gonna give you some understanding, and I'm not gonna be too long before you, but we're gonna get into this, and I believe we're gonna have some fun. This is LOVEWORKS. Let's go. So as you can imagine, when it comes down to your relationships, um, here you think you're in a healthy one, you chose right, you thought you chose right, and all of a sudden things go left, and they go left real quick. And there are reasons behind that. So I'm going to give you a clear understanding what love is and what trauma bonding is. All right, let's jump into this. So let's give a good definition of what trauma bonding is. The first thing I want you to know, trauma bonding, the definition of it is trauma bonding occurs when a couple, listen, is bonded by unhealthy relationship patterns. Unhealthy relationship patterns. You constantly see yourself arguing, acting crazy to one another, cussing each other out. You calling her a B, she calling you a punk, or you a B, whatever. That is trauma bonding, and you don't want that in your life, because what happens is you hook up with a person. Let's say you're smashing her, you're smashing each other, and what happens is, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can't let go because there's something called a soul, pretty much a soul bond or a soul tie. And that soul tie, you can't let it go. You cannot sleep without her. You can't sleep without him. Oh my gosh, you can't spend every month. Follow me. You get into major fights. You argue with one another. You cuss each other out. All of that, and all of a sudden later, you find yourself you move in with your girlfriend. He moves in with his boy, and all of a sudden, pretty much y'all back together again and starting at square one. The foolishness starts right back up. Good evening. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. And what happens is you get into this mindset that it's okay. This is just a normal relationship. It's not. It's not. And to my young ladies, you can do better. Listen to me. You can do better. And I'm not just telling you just to tell you that. I know you've been told that pretty much a lot of foolishness out there, pretty much that you can't find a man after 40 and after 35 and all this other stuff. And, you can't do any better. The fact of the matter is, you can't, you can't pretty much, grade up or marry up and so forth because you don't have the leverage. That's a bunch of foolishness. It's foolishness. And I'm going to be real with you. So tonight, I'm going to hopefully bring some understanding when it comes down to trauma bond. Let's go. So as I mentioned the definition of it, the question is, what are the signs of trauma bonding? What are the signs? What are the signs? So, hola again. The first one I want you to know, an abusive, abusive individual, this is supposed to be individuals, feeling of independence or dependent on their abuser. So you feel dependent on your abuser, that you can't do any better. That is trauma bonding. That is a form of trauma bonding, where you feel that you can't do any better than the person you're with, because the person, he talks down to you, she talks down to you, whatever, and you feel no way I can find something better than this. So you hold on to foolishness. You hold on to trauma. You hold on to crazy folk because you feel in your spirit somehow, some way, that this is the right thing to do. And I'm trying to help you tonight to get you to understand. You cannot be in this mindset. You cannot be in this mindset. Another thing, identified, by an abuser who refuses to take responsibility. It's an abuser who decides, I'm not taking responsibility for their actions. This is trauma bonding, because you're in a relationship that can be abusive emotionally, physically, financially, believe it or not, where people hold on to money and they have this money over you, or they earn the money and they won't give you anything. So identifying the abuser, who refuses to take responsibility. Most abusers don't like taking responsibility. And if you're an abuser, sir, you have to really come out that mindset. Young lady, abusers have to take responsibilities. We are in a narcissistic society that is absolutely non-responsible for their actions. They don't want to take it. They'll blame everything. The shooter, pretty much in Buffalo, killed 9 folks, slayed them. And he said, or his parents said, oh, because of Rona, because of Corona, that's what took him over the edge. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Enough. So these are the type of abuse. This is what you call trauma bonding, as I talked about. So they are not able, to transition into a healthy relationship, no matter how much, listen, no matter how much effort is put forth, no matter how much effort is put forth, they cannot put a good relationship together. It's called trauma bonding because they haven't healed. That's the reason why. They have not healed from that action. They haven't healed from that thing. They don't know what to do or how to go about it. They cannot fix it. They don't know how to fix it. And that's a detrimental thing to pretty much any relationship. You want to make sure you're doing all that you can to get healthy. And we'll talk about that later. So how do you know if you're in a trauma bond? How do you know this? Well, there are a couple of things you can think about. Number one, he or she is emotional, listen, and or physical abusive towards you. They're they're emotionally abusive. They're looking for ways, listen, to emotionally or physically abuse you. This is what you call trauma bonding. Again, when you get into relationships that are not healthy, that the trauma bonding causes you to stay in that relationship because, again, you think you can't do better. You think that you can't move on, you can't grow, you can't move, you can't breathe without them because they make you feel. They literally make you feel this way. So Rick, they can't control feelings. Yes, they can, because they put so much into you. They brainwash you, making you believe you can't do any better. Yeah, this is listen. By the way, this is pimpology 101. This is what pimps do. This is what users and abusers do. These are what manipulators do. They will do this, and it will cause you to be in an abusive relationship way beyond you need to. So let's move. Number two, he or she is a narcissistic person. They're a narcissist. Yeah, it's about them. They make it about them. You can't tell them anything different. It's about them. And this is heartbreaking because the fact is, when it comes down to trauma, narcissistic people, they love to deal with people who have low self-esteem. So they can build it to make them feel better. That's how that works. That they make everything about them. And when they're narcissistic, they don't know how to fix this. They can't fix it. Only God can. Honest to God. Seriously. So he or she is a narcissistic person. Avoid these type of people. Number three, the individual, listen, intentionally does things to make you jealous, just to get a reaction out of you, cheating, flirting, other women or other men to make you jealous, etc. This is what trauma-based folk do. And trauma relationships, this is what happens in them. This person does stuff intentionally to get a rise out of you. Because if you're not arguing, it's not a relationship. If he's not, and some women and some men believe if they're not being hit, if they're not being talked about, they're not being downed or whatever, he doesn't love me. Because the attention that you seek or you've gotten has been in that realm. And that's how you identify with love. And that's trauma. It's not love. That's what we're talking about tonight. If you're on with me, God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm not going to be too long before you. Number four, he conveys, listen, hot and cold type behaviors, meaning that they are kind in one moment and then very mean, only mean in another moment. So literally, it's almost like they can become bipolar, and they put this on you. It's because they have some mental issues that they have to control. If they're not controlling you, it's an issue with them, and they just do it systematically. It's an automatic thing for them. They don't know how to they don't know how to control it until someone brings it to their attention and they get what they need to get out of their pretty much that thing out of their lives. And they're constantly manipulating, trying to manipulate you. All right, let's move. Number five, he or she, I should say, has manipulative tactics to keep you trapped and confused. To keep you trapped and confused. They'll do stuff on the whim to confuse you. They'll say one thing over here and do another over here. And that's what's sad about it. So when people manipulate, they do these things. It's it's very difficult to deal with people like this. Very difficult. Because as they have manipulative tactics, they keep you trapped in a relationship and they keep you confused. You don't know if you're in love. You don't even know your situation in a relationship. You don't know. Yeah, you're in a situationship. You ask, are you boyfriend and girlfriend? Oh, I don't know. We know that's just my friend. And then you get mad, young lady, because he called you a friend. Well, you never identified pretty much what type of relationship you were in. And listen, that's your fault. Because you have to hold his feet to the fire. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Yeah, because in that moment, you're finding out he's either being manipulative, which I believe he is, trying to keep you trapped and confused. So this is how you know you're in a trauma bond. So what do you do about it? What do you do about this trauma relationship? First thing I want you to know, just leave. Get out of the relationship. When you're in a trauma bond relationship, my word to you is leave. Go. Get out of the relationship. Don't think about it. Don't maybe. No. Leave. I know your emotions are attached to him. Your emotions are attached to her. And the fact of the matter is, your job is to literally get out of the relationship before it causes more psychological, physical, and financial damage to you. Because this person is manipulative, very manipulative. So trauma bonding happens when you get two unstable folk emotionally. They have never really been in a successful relationship. That's the short term. Let me mark this. When you're about to date someone, find out how long their last relationship was. If you find out they can't hold a relationship no more than 5 months, 6 months, less than a year, you do not want to deal with this person. You don't, because they don't understand what it means to stay in a relationship. Young man, don't do it. Let it go. Let her go. Sir, ma'am, let them go, because they're going to use you and they're going to abuse you. I guarantee you this, because you're bonded in a trauma relationship. And trauma relationships cause you to act out of character because they do something to you that you feel it makes you, because particularly with love, in what we call love, it makes you do things out of character, if you're honest. When you're in love and you care about somebody, you do stuff just beyond what you normally would do. And you'll say it, man, I'll never do this for nobody. And you do it because you care about the person. But within trauma relationships, particularly if it's one way or another, you're going to be abused. It's as simple as that. It's never going to be good enough. You're going to always pretty much be talked down to. No one's going to pretty much care for you in the sense of how they should. And my word to you is that the first thing you want to do if you find yourself in a trauma bonding relationship is leave. Goodbye. Kick rocks. Don't come by there. Don't go there. Don't even hang out there. Don't even. I guarantee you, if you take this advice, just leave. By all means necessary. And I get you may be in a situation where you have kids. I get it. I sympathize with you. But at some point, when it comes down to trauma bonding, you're going to have to get a plan together to leave. That's the first thing I want you to know. What do you do about trauma bonding relationships? That when you're abused and you're manipulated, leave. That's advice number one. Number two, learn to be by thyself. By yourself. Do not spend time with another person. Don't jump in that next bed. Don't spend time with that dude. Don't spend time with that chick because you need a rebound relationship. No. Listen, the first thing you do is leave. The second thing you do is spend time by yourself because you're going to have to learn how to take care of you. Yes. You're going to have to learn how to get on your own 2 feet where you're not relying on them for money, where you're not relying on people, that relationship for even emotional support. My word to you is get by yourself. That doesn't mean, listen, when I'm going to make this very clear, when I say get by yourself, that doesn't mean that you don't have friendships with, listen, with the same sex, not the opposite sex, not another dude, not another guy friend, young lady, not another girlfriend, my brother, none of them. Same sex. The ones you're not attracted to. I got to put it that way. Yeah. Because understand that you can mistaken somebody's caring for you as a possibility, and you're vulnerable. That's what I want you to understand. When you are vulnerable, you're going to make crazy mistakes with the opposite sex because you're open, you're wounded, and you don't want that issue to pretty much spill into another issue because you came out of a trauma relationship or a trauma bond relationship. Get away from it. Get by yourself. Number 3, listen, love yourself. How do you love yourself? The first thing you do is love God. The scripture lets us know, love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. Second unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. Before you can love anybody else, you have to love God first and yourself. You love God, that's how you love yourself. Then you're able to hopefully offer a healthy relationship with someone. Do not get into another relationship if you have trauma. You need to heal. Yeah, because it's, as I mentioned, particularly when people get divorced, and God forbid, but when you get divorced, it's literally, you're seeing that the person is not dead. The person is still alive, and you're still dealing with that person. And it's like you're reliving death all over again when you see them with another person if you haven't healed. So this is vitally important when it comes down to trauma relationships, that the trauma bonding, you want to literally get away from the person, spend time by thyself, and love yourself. How do you love yourself? With all your heart, mind, and soul, love the Lord. Second unto it, then you're able to love your neighbor. That's how that works. So please don't do yourself some justice for your own life. Take care of you first before you can help anybody else. And the people of God said amen. Number 4, and this is the last one. Get your healing. Get your healing. What does that mean? That means that you find healing by hopefully getting with other people that have been through it with you, or you've pretty much been in a place in your life where they have seen you, go through it. And I mean your girlfriend, your boys or whatnot, and get with them so they can heal. How? By praying for you, by getting before the Lord, getting with other people maybe who have went through it with you, possibly have went through it with you, because trauma bonding is, I see it constantly amongst our people, constantly amongst young folk who sit there, they go from one person to another and they're just filling themselves up with spirits and demons and a whole bunch of other stuff because they don't know how to sit still. And then you wondering why you're not in your right mind. It is because you have not learned to sit still. Be by yourself before the Lord. So again, recapping these last parts. Listen, make sure you leave. Just leave. Don't look back. Don't collect $200. Just go. One young lady who's a part of the ministry, and God bless her. She was in a crazy relationship. Crazy. And how I met her is through another young lady who's a part of the ministry. Since that's where she's going through some issues with this guy. And she started running down the situation to him. He was a gangbanger, the whole 9 yards, and abusing her emotionally and financially. I said, you need to leave. Now, mind you, this girl had a wonderful business going on, but she put everything on hold for this dude. She that's my man. I'm like, no, that's not, he's a boy. No real man gangbangs. No man. No man. Sir, ma'am, none. They don't gangbang. They don't. They don't still have braids in their hair pretty much at 40 years old. They don't. No, they don't. They're not called by their street names anymore. She pretty much took the advice, literally packed her clothes, left. Because she knew that she was in, and she was crying because she knew the Lord. She knew the Lord, but she just pretty much made a mistake. But she went on and decided to take care of herself and do what she needed to do. And God blessed her. She's doing well now, and praise God for it. But one of the key things, again, she had to leave. Again, number two, and I'm recapping this, learn to be by yourself, alone, by yourself. That you don't have any other man or any other woman pretty much coming in your life trying to pretty much mend you together, uh, trying to consult. Not, no, we don't do that. You don't do that. You go. Hopefully, you go to a professional to get some help, whatever that looks like. A pastor that you can trust, a first lady, or let it be she's first lady, or she's a pastor, whatever. Go to that person to get the help that you need. But do not sit there and allow yourself to jump into another relationship, because you're going to carry that trauma bonding into that one, and it's going to be worse off. All right. Love yourself, and again, get healing. So when it comes down to trauma bonding, ladies and gentlemen, understand that you're going to find yourself in different relationships, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It can be other types of relationships that you're in. You can be in other types of relationships that happens. So I'm gonna go over it one more time. I know some people just jumped in. God bless you. Thank you so much. I see you, TikTok. Hi, TikTok. Hey. Yep. Twitter. I see you. All right, YouTube. Let's go. Good. So again, as I'm concluding tonight over this, just understand that there is a lot of issues that people have when it comes down to trauma bonding. They get abused rather, mentally, spiritually, the whole nine yards. And I gave the definition earlier. The definition of trauma bonding is simple as this. Trauma bonding occurs when a couple is bonded, listen, by unhealthy relationship patterns. There's a pattern there. If you find yourself in a constant pattern where you're cussing each other out, you're telling each other pretty much you're no good. You ain't my daddy. Whatever. You calling him bees and her bees and all this other stuff. That's not healthy. That's not healthy. I wish I would call my wife out on it. Man, bruh. Man, look, just don't do all that. It don't take that. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do it. Yes. Yeah, I'll be dead. I'll be dead. Yep. Yep. So as I mentioned, what are the signs of trauma bonding? An abusive, individual is supposed to be an abusive individual feels of a feeling, of dependency of their abuser. So they rely. Somebody said, "Rest in peace." Hush up. So they rely on this person, and they're dependent but they're being abused. They're being abused. Another thing, identify, by the abuser who refuses to take responsibility. This abuser does not want to take responsibility. We are in a generation right now that does not like to take responsibility. They don't know how to say I'm sorry. They just don't. And I'm not talking about just, let's say, Z or Gen X or Gen Y. No, the culture, they don't want to take responsibility. Everything is somebody else's fault. You look closely pretty much at the killer, and what is it now? Buffalo shot up everybody, kills everybody. Parents came out. They got trying to figure out the parents. Hey, your son did this. What's going on? Because of Corona. What? That's what happened. Yeah, that Corona. That's what these ignorant fools said. And I said fool, yes, because that's ignorant. You cannot be in your right mind by saying that, thinking that Corona caused this. Where did he learn the racism from? Nah, it's the stuff on the internet. Mama, daddy, stop. No responsibility. Trauma bonding causes people to do things that they have learned from either their childhood, their environment, whatever. Many times you become conducive to your environment. So when you're conducive to it, you repeat exactly it. Those are the fruits that you bear out of that environment. If I sit there, if I take Jesus, and he talks about good fruit and bad fruit. Yeah, good fruit and bad fruit he talks about. So if you're talking about good fruit and bad fruit, here we have bad fruit when it's trauma, when it's a trauma relationship. So you have to pretty much take responsibility for yourself. Make sure that that abuser, whoever it is, takes responsibility for themselves. They have to take responsibility for themselves. The fever is over 100 degrees. They are not able, listen, able to transition into a healthy relationship no matter how much effort is put forth. This is why I don't. These type of people will never be in a healthy relationship. Rick, yes, you never say never, never, nunca, nunca, never, because they don't understand the trauma that they pretty much are in or they're causing, and they never want to get the help for it. They don't. They never want to get the help for it. So what does that look like? Constantly, you see people who they'll have what you call, in the word, the generational curse. Now we think it's something that is not just spiritual, not just it could be physical also. But understand within context, when Moses says this and he writes this, for the pretty much the sins of the fathers will go down to pretty much pass down to the third and fourth generation, because it's repeated, not necessarily on a spiritual level, but literally it's repeated in front of them physically. Yeah, that's what happens. You heard pretty much the whole why well, one generation, the grandmother's on welfare, the daughter's on welfare, and then the grandchildren's on welfare because of the pattern that was laid up. And it has nothing to do with pretty much spiritual necessarily, the spirit of poverty and so forth. I get that. But what I'm just getting you to understand, this person never learns to break it. They never learn to break it. Ladies, someone has to show you better than they can tell you. Show me. Show me that you broke the balance. Show me that you're not going to cuss me out. Show this comes into play in your life, and you have to take this and literally run with it in aspects of your life. If you're in an abusive relationship, physically, emotionally, and it could be, listen, it could be with some parents too. I know that's rough. Not my mama, your mama. I just talked about your mama. Yes, I just bagged on your mama. I just did. I did. Yeah. Because there's some patterns that you can learn from your mother that could be literally detrimental. If you've seen some of Tyler Perry's movie, one, can't think of the name of it. But anyway, there was one particular with Miss Taji and Morris Chestnut. And the mother was pretty much telling the daughter, you know, your husband ain't no good. He was a good dude, but you ain't no good and so forth. They ain't none of them good. She just bashing him because she had trauma and she didn't deal with the issues with her husband on how she got done. And she carried that anger and tried to pass it on to her daughter. Not until the daughter sat there and said, Mama, that's not me. Mama, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. And she left Mama there crying because she has to go through that. That young lady pretty much had to go and take care of her marriage. And I just stress this to you. I'm stressing to you. You can break it. You can break it, but it's really getting around the right environment. Many times, believe it or not, depending on what church you're in and the group, physical group you're in church, because sometimes you can belong to a large church, you can get the healing that you need. But you can't rely 100% on the people. You have to rely on the Lord. And the people of God said, amen. Not easily broken. That's it. Thank you. That's it. Thank you, daughter. I appreciate you. Hey, one of the smartest pupils I know. What's up, girl? Good to see you. Michelette, yo, talk to me. I hope you're still on. So again, it's a pattern that pretty much builds up that really they can't let go. They don't know how to go forth in other relationships. So as I mentioned earlier, how do you know if you're in a trauma bond? How do you know this? He or she is emotionally or physically abusive towards you. You want to make sure you're doing all that you can to not allow anybody to abuse you in any type of way, even financially. There's some people who are literally, and I see guys who do this. Women do it too, and I see it more in guys where they can, they may not be the best looker, so they'll catch the young lady pretty much with their money, and then when the money runs out, oh, chick is gone. Yeah, that causes trauma. So the next person he gets with, could be abused or whatever. But my point is that some people use their money to abuse people, or they're there for other reasons. It could be some other reasons, and they use that, and they become pretty much traumatized behind what they're dealing with, the person they're dealing with, because it was never healthy. It was always to be a means to an end, or they just pretty much they didn't have an agreement. It was an unspoken agreement that she's here for money, whatever, and the abuse happens, and vice versa. So it doesn't happen just to men; it happens to women too, or rather the other way around. It doesn't just happen to women; it happens to men. So number two, he or she is a narcissist, as I mentioned. Becoming narcissistic people are like running rapid. In my opinion, that's where the health crisis is right there. Mental health issues start many times with narcissistic people. Either narcissistic people are causing it because they have a mental issue and they're passing that down to other people by abusing them, and or this person is mentally unstable and pretty much a narcissist within themselves. So here is how you know you're in a trauma-based relationship. When this person is a narco, never considered of you, never think of you. They don't buy you no gifts, ma'am, no gifts. They don't spend time with you. They're always thinking about themselves. They're very selfish. It's about them. They make it about them. They're not caring for you anymore. That could be a trauma bond relationship where you're constantly giving out. You're proving, quote unquote, your love to him. And he just, no, or she, pretty much the same thing. So don't let it sit on just where it's about the man or whatnot. He or she, they can literally abuse you emotionally. I don't see too many times when men will stay in a trauma bond relationship on a physical level, meaning a physical abuse. Very rarely do I see that, but I will see them pretty much be there emotionally because they feel they can't do any better. And as soon as you think you can't do any better because you're listen, when you're abused and you think you can't do any better, I pray for you and I pray that you do better, period. So the third, the individual pretty much initially does things to make you jealous just to get a reaction out of you, cheating, flirting with other women or men to make you jealous, etc. This is what they do. They'll tell you pretty much, he or she will tell you, that famous person looks better than you. You need to, how come you don't dress like this? Or they pretty much flirt with women in front of you, or she flirts with men in front of you. That is a trauma bond. You don't want to be with that. Ma'am, you're better than this. You're better than this. Young lady, mama, young lady, sir, you're better than this, sir. Don't lie in that. Don't rely on it. Don't stay in that relationship because you're causing a trauma bond. And listen, some of you, and I know this is a heavy topic for some because you're in it. And I guarantee you, before the summer's up, you're going to be in a relationship that you don't want to be in because you want to be the hot girl or you want to be pretty much, I don't know if it's the hot boy, but whatever you're going to be. You get into these relationships and it becomes literally, you start bonding with these people. What if you wanted it, pretty much you like to believe it or not, on a spiritual level because you're sleeping with them. And as you sleep with them, there's certain things, attributes you take away from them and vice versa. Yeah. And that causes, you don't believe this, but it causes, excuse me, it causes trauma in your life. Whenever you sleep with anybody, you take a piece of that person with you, male or female, and you start finding certain issues that you have and you don't know why. My word to you, deal with your trauma. Deal with it. Let me move. Number four, she conveys pretty much a hot and cold type behaviors. What does that mean? That means that they are kind 1 minute, only to be mean the next minute. Yeah, you can call it bipolarism. You can call it what you want. It's still trauma. Unless you're married to the person and you want to deal with pretty much that bipolarism, Rick, you're being mean. I'm just being real. You're taking it upon yourself, possibly, to take on an assignment that is not yours. You better hear me. Now, talking about this during the fast. Stop taking on assignments that are not yours. Well, I love the person. Has nothing to do. Nada. You can love them from over there. Because when they're abusive, you have to take that. And I've seen it over and over again. When a young lady, young man, pretty much they just go into it and they just hook up with whoever. And all of a sudden, now they feel that I'm stuck in this relationship. No, you're not. No, you're not. Nobody's hopefully not holding a gun to your head. And even then, you need to run. Yes. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in these type of relationships. You want healthy relationships. You want healthy relationships. And that is not healthy. I've seen women get married to traumatized men, and they don't know what to do about it. They just go left. And all of a sudden, they get a divorce. Why? Because he or she is causing trauma in a relationship. I'm moving. Give this last point here. He or she, should I say, has been manipulative tactics to keep you trapped and confused. This is the old pimp game. Old pimp game. That's all that is. They build you up to tear you down. They build you up to tear you down. Why? Because these type of people want you to keep reliant on them, rely on your emotions for them. For you, they want you to be so reliant on them that they would manipulate your emotions. 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. You're being smacked 1 minute, next minute you're the wonderful woman of the world. Yeah, it's like, as long as you do what they say, your emotions are attached to them. It's an emotion, particularly my ladies. Listen, that's an old pimp game that guys do. They build you up to bring you down. That's what they do. You ask any pimp, that's what they do. That's how they feel to keep their women in line. They'll use traps to keep you pretty much in line. Let me give you a good one that pretty much they do. And listen, I know I'm giving away game tonight to all the fellas. They're like, man, you giving away. Listen, man, you need to grow up. Stop being a punk, straight out. What some cats would do, some brothers would do, they'll sit there and buy your dog, ladies. As I talked about this before. They would buy you a dog. And some of you heard me talk about this in a pretty much in a closed setting when I was talking to young ladies. But yeah, they will buy you a dog. And this is why. Because a dog is like a child. You're not going to leave that dog at home when you come home from work or whatever, or when you're on your way. You're going to get home rather to be there for that dog because you've been gone all day. So you go and feed the dog, you walk the dog, you spend time with the dog. By the time you pretty much finish with the dog, you're tired. Well, why does he do that? To keep tabs on you. Because now it's our dog, but he doesn't live with you. It's our dog. It's my dog and your dog. But you taking care of it. You're spending the money for it. You're doing all you're supposed to do. He's pretty much keeping tabs on you. Listen, so he can do what he wants to do. He's manipulating you. That's when you're trapped, and then you become confused. I know I saw lipstick on his collar. I know I did. Nope, your lying eyes. No, we got this dog, we got this bond together, and he loved the dog, I love the dog, and so forth. And then all of a sudden, watch, you break up for a month. Well, the dog is, you still have the dog. So he now has a leeway into your relationship again, or into your house, because you got the dog. You fell for it. You got trapped. Yeah. So now you got to listen, and almost like a rotating door for him to come in at any time he wants to because you got the dog. And he'll use that against you. What about our baby? This stupid stuff. Yeah. So don't get the dog. Listen, So when a guy gets you a dog, just say no. Send it back. Give it up to the next door neighbor. Call the pound, whatever. I'm not being funny. Seriously. Yeah. You wait until you get married for all that. Don't keep the dog. Don't do that. It's gonna trip you up. So just to give you some tactics on what guys do, pretty much to keep you confused and trapped. And that's a small level. But and I'm being lightweight. So again, when you pretty much what do? You leave. You go ahead and pretty much get the help that you need. Be by yourself. You learn to love yourself, and lastly, get the healing that you need. This is Love Works. My name is Ricardo Arce. I hope you were blessed tonight. I hope you learned something. Trauma bonding is one of the most. It's so. It can be so ugly, and this is some just pieces that I put together. But I feel that when it comes down to trauma bonding, there's also called trauma dumping. Trauma dumping, and I'm gonna get into that tomorrow night, so we can pretty much study that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Sometimes we feel that we won't be. Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Thank you, Miss Janine. But if you have any inquiries or anything you want to talk about um, relationship wise, please dump it on me. Let me know. I mean that tongue in cheek when I say dump it on me, but let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for helping me out for that, Michelle. God bless you. God bless you. So, and again, this goes much deeper than what I've talked about. This is just some snippets over the time that pretty much I had studied this. I just took the best parts, for lack of better words, and put it in because I wanted to give just an overall view of how people get into trauma bond relationships, and you have to find your way out of them quickly. If you find it, because you'll never be on the level that God wants you to be on when you don't deal with the trauma, because it could literally it could start as a teen. This is the scripture talks about not opening up your daughters of Zion, don't open up love before it's needed. All right. And I'm paraphrasing that because it goes much deeper than that. But in a nutshell, bless you. Thank you, daughter. I appreciate you. I called you daughter. Thank you, Janine. But it is a thing where when you decide to open up your spirit, love, what happens is you start opening up different parts of your heart and your soul, because when your heart becomes deceitful is when you think you're in love, what looks like love, because of all the endorphins, all the dopamine, all that stuff goes just it's going crazy. And I'm talking about not just teens. I mean, literally young ladies, young adults, and it's going crazy in you, and you don't know what to do, and you associate that with love. That's infatuation. That is infatuation. It's not love. Remember, love is the byproduct of love is being in love, which is not what I would just described. It's not all the funny feelings and so forth. That leaves after like 8 months, 6 months. That that person looks cute doing it for the first 6 months, and after I'm sick of you doing that. I wish you would not say that word. You know that word. That's not how you say it. Or you pretty much, I don't understand why you wear your hair like that. You start getting irritated. Yeah, that all leaves, and you come to your senses, and then you start pretty much working a relationship the way it's supposed to, the way you think it's supposed to, and you have some trauma bonding there because you've learned that pattern over in your life in many aspects of your life. Someone had a question or a statement. Let's hear. It does. Okay. Why deeper, but this is needed. Okay. Oh, way deeper than what is needed. I've got you. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's great. Thank you so much, Michelle. Absolutely. It really bypasses all ages, truthfully. But my age don't understand it. Yeah, and only because your generation is a show me generation. Your generation is show me generation. They have to go through. They have to learn it. And I agree. And I'm speaking to a young lady who's I believe Michelle, you're are you a millennial? I can't remember because you look young. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's funny. Love and abuse often feel the same. Yeah, it can, because you don't know sometimes you don't know the difference. But yeah, that's it. You are okay. Cool. So thank you, daughter. I appreciate you. I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you. Good to see you. She was one of the most wonderful, articulate young ladies I knew in Bible study. She would just drop some gems on me. I'm like, good Jesus, I need to go study. But it's good to see you. Last time I saw you at graduation, you graduated from what was it, Dominguez? Proud of you, very proud of you. You had a man, this young lady had a rough road. She did it though. Amen. Love to see you, pretty much the daughter's on. Good to see you, daughter. Good to see you. But I don't have anything else. I mean, you have any other questions or anything? Okay. Close it. Okay. It's like trying to carry groceries. Oh, in a torn bag. Yeah. And holes are in it. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly like that. That it just it's if you don't learn to pretty much patch yourself up or get a bit pretty much a bag that can handle it, not going to happen. You got to deal with the trauma that you uh, pretty much had dealt with as a young person, because someday it will carry into your adulthood. So yes, absolutely. I'm done tonight. I don't know who else is on, but God bless you on the other channels. Thank you so much for chiming in. My name is Ricardo Arce. Tonight, this is LoveWorks. I'll be back on tomorrow night. I'm going to talk about the second part called trauma dumping. Trauma dumping. I hope you join me. Let's have some fun. I love you guys and I appreciate all that you guys do. Please, if you have any inquiries, anything you want to say, it's like write me and so forth, send it to Destin. No, don't send it to Destin. Send it to loveworks.la@gmail.com. Please send it to you. I love to talk to you. I love to interact with you. And I hope that you do that for me. I would love to see pretty much any encouraging words that you want to give. Or if I'll say it this way, if you need prayer, send it there too. It's all good. Please do. Thank you. Appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful night, and I'll definitely be back on tomorrow night at 7. May the Lord keep you. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Love y'all. Appreciate you. Yes, and Janine, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you on TikTok and everyone else. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.